Well, very good morning, everybody, for Weather Wednesday, the 10th of August. So, high pressure is just sat there. It continues to give us lots of continental air, and the temperatures continue to rise, and they will continue to do so for some considerable period yet, at least up until Sunday, where temperatures may hit in the Lasham area around 33 to 34 degrees. And there very much is the chance that, just like 1976, we could see cloud bases or thermal tops up to 10,000 feet. Not much use around here, but obviously very interesting nonetheless out to the west. But for today, slightly weaker today. It's just that little bit more stable. Still picking up that easterly breeze, similar to yesterday, but with less cumulus, I'd say. And yesterday we did lose a lot of cumulus in the afternoon. Looking on here in the channel, it's quite breezy actually, sort of 20 knots or so. I think more inland here, we're looking at easterly around 10 knots. The satellite picture over the UK shows a fairly bright start, not much going on. The isolated mist and fog patch that's been sat on top of the North Downs out to our east, but other than that, it's looking fairly clear. Another beautiful day. The public forecast shows a top temperature of 29 degrees and that east-northeasterly wind with fairly constant all day. Reasonable visibility, a little bit muggy this morning with those humidity figures a little bit high, and visibility quite all right too. We don't seem to get those days, which I remember when I first started working here, when we used to get lots of low visibility in the summer where you get 5 or 6K. So thankfully we haven't had those really stable days. We could see in reality around 30 degrees, maybe 31 in some isolated spots. See the continent really hotting up, and we're really just importing all that air. But yeah, 30 degrees quite likely, and dew points sat looking there around about 8 degrees. That's Larkhill sounding. As you can see, we need around 24 degrees or so to get anything, but we really need around 26 degrees to get up to sort of usable heights above 2,000 feet. As we go further up that graph, if we're looking at sort of 30 to 31 degrees, then we might see up to sort of 5 to 5,500 feet. But as you can see there, very, very dry air, not really much chance of cumulus at all, looking at that. ODIM are currently reporting a light northeasterly. There's a bit of mist that's cleared off, 16 degrees. We'll just have a look to see if we've got anything more up to date. Got Farnborough from 16 minutes ago, and that's 19 degrees, and that light easterly, and that light easterly being prevalent all day. Yeah, cab okay, no problem. Currently at Lasham, we have a temperature of 19, a dew point of 13. You can see both rising very nicely at the moment. Okay, on to today then with top sky sight. And that's your potential flight distance for today. Is a little bit similar to yesterday. Once again, windward coasts out to the east, not looking quite so good, where you get some estuary air or stuff like that. Still reasonable down to the southwest, up to the northwest, and up to the north. Nothing spectacular, but yeah, it's there nonetheless. We can't complain. It takes a little while to get going, sort of around lunchtime, 11:30, 12, starting to get going. A few people asked me what the dots are on here. It just means the point use shear ratio is quite low. So if bigger dots indicate tougher conditions. By sort of 2 o'clock, getting reasonable conditions in the area, probably again, not quite as strong as yesterday, but to say we can't really complain with the weather we've been having. No real sign of an immediate sea breeze, though we are losing about 3 minutes a day of daylight. So the day is starting to shorten now, unless you get any conversions. So yeah, past about 6 o'clock, 6:30, it will probably come unsoarable. Height of thermals, well, later in the day, at sort of 1 o'clock, probably looking around here at around 1,300 meters. That's around 4,000 feet. Sort of 3 o'clock, 1,700 meters, around 5 to 5,500 feet. And that's sort of where it peaks, really. You might see sort of 6,000 in some spots, but not expecting higher than that. So yeah, 6,000 feet at the top for today. And this is saying completely blue at the moment. Chance of haze caps I'll chuck in there, but completely blue. No chance of any sort of rain or anything, and as you can see here, no chance of any cloud cover spoiling it. So it's purely heat driven, not much more than that. Convergence wise, once again, that south coast convergence is there. I'll be very interested to hear how these convergences line up. I understand that people went down to the West Country to Cornwall on them, but as you can see on here, yeah, some convergence later in the afternoon, and once again down in the West Country near North Hill. Other than that, not too much to talk about. And we'll finish off with a skew T at around, let's go for 4 o'clock in the Lasham area, where you can see, yeah, very, very little chance of cumulus. With around 28 degrees or 29 degrees, we're getting to an inversion of around sort of 6,000 feet QNH. And yeah, if we've got 31 degrees, then we might get towards 7,000 feet, but I'm sort of hoping that we don't get to that. It would be, it's starting to get a little bit tiring now. Okay, let's go just quickly to top Meteo for any differences. Again, potential flight distance very similar. Estuary air mass and windward coasts not so good, and actually some of the south coast showing the chance of some sea air as well. Again, sort of by 1 o'clock, we've got blue climbs up to around 3,500 feet. By 2-3 o'clock, we've got blue climbs up to 5,500 to 6,000 feet, and that's where it peaks in the day. And again, starts to come in from the east, the sea air, which is not quite what we want. Site forecast, and we're looking at 2.5 knot climbs, average up to sort of 5,000 feet locally, but I imagine it might go a little bit higher. And that's the top temperature of around 29 to 30 degrees. The dew point sat around 10. Okay. So let's go back to the other one. NOTAM wise, 27. Parachuting at Little Rissington. Surface to 6,000 feet, 3 nautical miles. 10. That's between 10 and 6 this evening. So that's Little Rissington parachuting. That's one to be aware of. 25 is probably paragliding just south of the Bryce zone. Yeah, multiple paragliders just south of the Bryce zone. Let's just have a look. The red, let's have a look. 10th, is it? I think the red arrows are transiting at some point today. Yeah, so the red arrows are transiting just to the west of Bryce, Little Rissington. So they're going, yeah, down that way at over the top of Kemble at around sort of 2:30. So between 12:30 and 2:30, you might see 7 red jets in formation, or maybe 8, because so they're a team of 7 this year, so I'll take the spare. But yeah, worth bearing in mind that you might see them. There's nothing else really in the local area that's going to affect us. 21 and 15 are just the high intensity radio areas. Number 4 is probably parachuting on the Isle of Wight. Yeah, valid all day. And obviously Husbos is preparing for the Women's Worlds. 30, which is just to the west of Birmingham. We get paragliders in Worcestershire. But it's quite quiet other than that. Okay, operationally, we are going to be 09 again today. The launch vehicle will be on the white mark, so hopefully people don't get roasted by the conditions. Lots of water, hats, sun cream. Don't want to be dealing with any heat stroke. It's a bit unnecessary, really. You're all adults. So, yeah, just keep an eye on those temperatures. It is going to get warm, and I'm going to have a look at how that goes forwards as we head towards the weekend. But it is only now a couple of days to comp. So yeah, no gridding today, just on the runway, and we'll give you a launch when you get there. All right, bye.